Hello everyone and welcome to the first in our series of developer commentary videos. This was one of our Kickstarter stretch goals, so we're going to get this done. This first episode will serve as somewhat of a prologue. We're going to be going all the way up until the first tome and then stopping, and then our second episode will be venturing into Tribal Stack. So I have here with me, I have Gavin Price, studio head and designer.
Hello.
I have Hamish Lockwood, designer.
Hello.
And Stephen Hurst, your environment artist, right? Right, okay,
That's
good.
right.
I got it all right.
So Stephen did his regional. Hey up. We were just like in a good day from hanging.
That's right. Good day.
That's better.
So we're going to be starting a completely fresh game and jumping into it just like a new
Well, go
player
back.
would. Okay.
Go back. Were these heads randomised for the menus front end?
Oh yeah, that's a good
Or did
question.
we specifically choose these characters as the first thing people should be exposed to?
If you press on a selection and then go back, it will randomise or it won't, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if these character heads were randomised.
I think somewhere, some of them are and some of them maybe aren't. I'm not sure.
We can't remember a thing. Sorry we've taken so long to get around to doing this. We have genuine reasons which we can't discuss right now, but they are good reasons. They're the great reasons. So we may have a lot of discussions where we discuss amongst ourselves. Can you remember what happened and why? We might not know the answer. Go back into options. They're random.
Yeah.
New ones.
The front ones aren't they?
No. Why are they the more important? They're the front ones, like Trouser. I think people who voice
Yooka should be on Main Adventure, surely.
Yeah.
I always thought Vendy's a little bit terrifying as well. She's...
Everyone does.
Yeah, it's just supposed
That's
to be...
Kev Bayless at his worst.
So, do you know, actually, I was going to say, when we go into the save file, when I first played Yooka-Laylee, I chose this one, and so when it jumps into the first cutscene, it looked totally seamless, and I wondered if that was deliberate and if it happened on each of the ones, but it turns out it didn't. But I was super impressed. I was like, this is, they've gone straight
In that case,
into
it was deliberate.
Yeah.
I come up with that idea. This'll impress British Northern women.
Well, it did. It absolutely did impress me. So
The cutscene, Ivory Towers, in all its glory.
yeah, that camera looks familiar, I've got to say. Like eerily familiar.
James Bond's gonna shoot it out any moment now. That's setting up some foreshadowing of events in the Playtonic universe in years to come. What an amazing voice! Wow!
Capital B?
Wow, that guy deserves his own IMDb profile. The gold statue. This is one of the first puns in the game. Really, it sets a tone for the two characters, the boss and his underling. Look at him. I love that phrase. Is something too much of something or not enough? Because that's what everyone in power says. They don't even know if something's too much or not enough.
I was going to say, you use that phrase all the time.
I know. I'd like to say in jest, but I'd be lying.
I think that quack statue is really sweet.
It's funny. Dave Rose is great at doing those world building touches. And look where it's positioned in relation to capital B as well. It's like how we all stand near Steve Mayles.
Did you pre-write jokes for this?
It seems that way, doesn't it?
He's got a script under here.
Can never go wrong with bashing Steve Mayles.
Right.
We're going to put that skip button to
Yes,
use.
I'm going to skip
that,
through it now. Most of us know how this
Took ages to put that in.
this starts. So like
It did. We waited until Lee, the QA guy, literally come into work with bloodshot eyes and was fed up with that cutscene and was about to quit his job, and we said, "Don't worry, Lee, we'll put a skip button in now."
So the first thing I've always wanted to ask you guys like even as a fan before I started working here, is why don't the sandals fit?
Well, you presume.
They might fit. They're just
I've
too spaced
I've
far
spent
apart.
They may not be Yukas.
Yeah, whose are they?
Okay then. So
Whoa.
who do they belong to?
Well, maybe they're a character and they've got their eyes shut, the googly eyes shut.
There's
How
enough-
many toes does Yuka have?
Yeah, there's enough toe holes
Yeah.
for Yuka as well.
Ah, cool. So basically, we left. Honestly, this rock was just never specified. We just left it to Dave Rose, who the background artist on Shipwreck Creek, to just do his own little flourishes and touches. So things like the physics multicoloured paint can, the magazines, the fact that Yuka's towel's tiny compared to Laylee's, which is massive. If we go underneath the shipwreck, there's like the Bat's living room, Laylee's living room upside down, all this stuff. I think he kind of does that because it makes him laugh and he can foresee it making us laugh. And it just kind of hangs around because we think, yeah, you know, fans love seeing touches like that in games, that kind of fun world building.
Yeah, we've got a few community questions about the Batshow, which I'll ask you guys when we go back to it. I'll just speak to Trouser first. He is, I would say, one of the most popular characters. How long have you been behind there?
Oh, sorry. I thought
Our sound designer just appeared.
I got paranoid that I didn't press the start recording button. And it's like one of those things, like you leave the house and it's like, did I leave the oven on? I thought I'd never hear the end of it if I hadn't. So, I'm gonna leave you alone now.
Be gone.
Now you'll never hear the end that you came in.
Yeah. Oh,
Did he actually manage to sneak in though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Snake Solid. And talking of a solid snake, here's Trouser.
Yeah.
Tell us, Gav, who designed Trouser?
I did an awesome sketch first of all on a post-it note because I really wanted to be in this kind of a bit more weak and feeble. And I thought it'd look funnier if he was like, because he's trying to take himself seriously as this like, oh, I'm a serious businessman, I should be taken seriously and all that. And I really wanted him to be more of an obvious loser. And I always thought his shorts would be better if he just had his body going through one leg of the shorts and the other leg of the shorts was just empty, flapping to the side. It'd make him look less proficient and make him look more like he thinks what he's doing is always right. But then Steve Mayo's come up with this design, which is, I think, inferior in every single way. But seems as no one else has ever seen my design, no one else really knows this, so we'll all just accept Trouser for what he is now and be happy with him.
I've seen
But
your
here's
post-it note on your desk. The original.
I can't find
drawing.
it. Someone's stolen that.
Oh.
Have you
Check
checked Steve
eBay.
Mails? This is Mails'
Wow.
desk, yeah.
If it's on eBay, it's fine because Stephen Hurst buys everything off eBay, so it'll just be back in the office sooner or later with his infinite pools of money that he won't share with us.
I like both designs, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, they've both got the pros and
Yeah.
cons, haven't they?
I think your version could come back later as another character.
So here's an interesting. Well, I think it's an interesting fact. We did deliberate and think on why is the move giver in a game a snake, and I remember saying it'd be really funny to have this character that thinks he knows all, can do all, is the best thing ever, and when he says to Yuka, "Oh yeah, here's this great new move," he would basically do some kind of shimmying, which is nothing like the move he's trying to say, but saying, look, do it like this. And obviously a snake has a very limited move repertoire. And I always thought that'd look hilarious, that a snake was trying to show a biped how to do all these fun moves, and it was clear that he couldn't do them himself. And so that's why we ended up with a snake. I think the only other thing we considered was like a worm or an eel for their similarly poor lack of limbs. So that's why Trouser is a snake. He evolved from there. The name, I'm actually 50-50 on his name.
Really?
It is. Some people are like, well, it's a good poke at sense of humour, and some people are like, is it the right type of sense of humour? And I kind of agree where they're coming from. But the moment we found out Steve Mails got in trouble with his wife for the name of the snake, it was locked in for good. And that was great fun. Poor Steve.
This is a perfect height for Yuka. There should have been an Easter egg where you do this and look in, and then it activates a camera and looks off into the distance of the Ivory Towers. I always wanted to put that in, but obviously you ran out of time.
You just see through a window and see Cat B just coming out of the shower.
Yeah. Dr. Quack staring through the window.
Dr. Quack holding his towel. They've got a kind of a Kif and Zach Brannigan style relationship,
Yeah.
haven't they? We always laugh at those jokes ourselves. So.
Okay, so this is one we actually covered in the forums, but I think it'd be good to go over again. So, Amiga Flowey 64 asked, I noticed that there are names scrawled on the ship's boards if you climb up to the ship and look. One of the names in particular is Penny. I wonder who that could be. Is it a possible future character?
Go on, Mr. Hurst, it's background.
Again, this is Mr. Rose's doing. Basically, a lot of the names you see around the place, especially Penny, is actually Dave's daughter, and a lot of the other names you'll find across the game are the children of various team members. So there's nothing.
There, Penny.
Yeah, is that there? Yeah.
Yeah, Yooka.
So I think there's there were quite a few children born during the making of Yooka-Laylee.
There was a right baby boom.
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll probably find them scattered all over the game. So that's essentially what all the names mean in the game. They're all siblings of developers.
Yeah. It's a nice touch for us to do, and it's a bit gratuitous, it's a bit us self-indulgent, but it's nice that you want to keep a record of what you were doing and what else was happening in the world during a game's time in development, I always think. And I don't mind seeing it in other people's games. And who knows, it might actually lead to ideas that actually trigger other stuff appearing in the Playtonic universe based on what's happening in the real world. You never know.
We have another one from Neela Studo who asks, any particular inspiration for giving the duo a ship to live in? Was it because it looked cool? Was it so you could just use that name pun?
The Batship Crazy. Can I take credit for that? It was me, wasn't it? Yeah.
I remember probably 2 to 3 weeks of emails going around, everyone throwing in their own ideas, and we couldn't decide on it for ages. The name of the ship.
They were rubbish as well.
Yeah, some good ones. I can't remember any, but
well, that's because they were really good.
good.
No, but it was a shipwreck first. Shipwreck Creek came first, and I always liked the idea of a shipwreck being mysteriously high up on a mountainside somewhere, to beg the question, what and how on earth did this get there? And I firmly believe that will get answered in years to come.
It's funny you say that. I always assumed they just built it.
No, that'd be crazy. That'd be stupid.
See, yeah, that leads into another question from someone. Dan94 Rodriguez, asked, how did the ship crash into Shipwreck Creek, and where are the original owners now? So
Meet me at McDonald's in Burton-on-Trent. I'll tell you in person because I don't want to spoil anything out loud.
Make it up on the spot.
Yeah. Would I? Come on.
Something, yeah. I think another part of the environmental storytelling in this world is the paint cans. I feel like indicates that Yooka and Laylee haven't been there for that long. Would you say that's an accurate assessment of the situation, or?
Ooh, probing. You're getting very reportery here. Hang on. Mate, yeah. You know what? I think that's a fair assessment. They don't. They seem to live and not really have noticed the giant factory just opposite their creek, and they seem to be quite content with living in about a quarter of an acre. For wild animals, that's quite a strange thing. So, yeah, I'd like to think we left quite a lot of stuff in this game purposefully unexplained, because there's the scope for us in future to have some fun re-exploring some of these questions. We even asked ourselves, why would we do this?
Is there a line in at the starts where they've just recently moved in or something? Or am I imagining that?
Yeah, it's places starting to feel like home.
Yeah, that's right.
Etc. What's under the floorboards?
Have you been to see Blasto?
No, well,
Yeah.
Oh, Blasto and Kabloomy.
I always forget about Blasto up there on the hill.
Yeah, he is. Another question about Trouser as well. If you were to sort of assess his character on a scale of, good to bad, where do you think you'd place him?
Bad.
Do you mean morality? Or
Yeah, morality.
Design-wise?
You see, yeah. Morality, definitely.
Zero morality. It's probably going to sell nuclear weapons to Capital B in future.
Well, he is helping Yooka-Laylee, not Capital B.
I think
Capital B
he's the
learned
kind
all
of guy
his
who, if he's helping someone else, it's because it helps himself out more. It's fair to say. Good old Blasto and Kabloomy. At one point, I'm pretty sure this cannon was wearing something blue and yellow.
Was he?
I think so. I can't remember for sure.
That. Maybe there were like bits of paint on him, painted slightly.
Yeah. I don't mean wearing like
Yellow shorts or something.
Yeah.
This is a very obvious nod. I wonder if.
But it's cool. We love our past.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for all the right reasons, if you know what I'm saying. And we'll always be the first people as well to take the rip out of ourselves. That self-deprecating humour is very much us, and I think for some people it takes a while to clock on. Like, I worked on Grab by the Goalies, for example, and that used to be the butt of a ton of in-jokes with ourselves. Yeah, I do genuinely really enjoy that game, so but I'm always happy to take the mick out of ourselves in some way or another. Let's move on to this finely balanced tutorial area, which teaches a jump. You have to jump to get up on that first bit, so we know you've definitely jumped. Then you have to make a horizontal jump.
Why isn't this moving?
Because you have to make a double horizontal jump. Then we force you to do a crouch. You get you out. Then we do the good old swimming. Swimming controls. This took a lot of feedback on, didn't it, from the toy box, in terms of people wanted us to go super traditional with banjo. But we realised after a bit of experimenting, we never thought we'd end up with this control scheme. But after forcing ourselves to give it a go.
Yeah. I think we put this one in the toy box to see what people thought of it first. And I think initially people had the same reaction to us, which was, it doesn't feel like banjo, therefore it's wrong. But we tried it out, and then once we got used to it, we felt it was much better.
Yeah.
So we kind of stuck to our guns on that one, and I think it is a more improved.
Is it more akin to how Nathan Drake?
Yeah.
swims?
That's the thing. We're working on it, and
go check out our website, team page. Stephen Hurst here. He looks like Nathan Drake.
Coincidence?
He is Team Nathan Drake.
Him to do swimming example of what Nathan would look like.
That's why he's so rich and he buys everything off eBay. He's got a big treasure hunting all his life. Here we go, a couple of first little minions to attack and whack. Get him, Hamish.
Yeah, so how long did it take you to kind of decide what you wanted to be the main kind of enemy in the game in terms of stuff you'll encounter in every levels?
Yeah, we wanted a kind of a fodder enemy initially. We knew we wanted just someone for the player to kind of spot in the distance and drag their attention over to, but once they're there, not have to worry about so much. That's what those guys are. And the idea is they're all there's a lot of jokes and themes in this game about corporations and corporate entities, so that's why all the enemies are a variation on the word corporate. And Quackcore basically engineered all these minions as fodder just to serve their his evil, whatever he's up to, plans.
The actual minion model, though, was in from the very start almost, wasn't he? He was in our very first demo, so he was...
Yeah, I remember it in the
apart from
Kickstarter
Yooka-Laylee, he was the first character done.
Back then we were poor, we couldn't afford to throw anything away and do it better again.
I mean, back then.
Yeah. How did Traz get here so quick? Maybe he really is a super amazing snake and he's masquerading as a horrible salesman.
Or maybe it's various. Various
Maybe
snakes.
Yeah. Pagey, in cages. Who'll set them free? Yeah, when are we covering the rap? Not in this video. Wait until I'm not here that day.
I'd block that from my mind, actually. Now you just brought the whole traumatic experience back up.
Dan would love to sing it whenever the audio episode is.
We'll get Grant to suffer through that, I think.
Grant will go through so fast the way he talks, though no one will know what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
It'll be over a lot quicker, actually. Yeah, get Grant to do it.
Look at this camera movement. Beautiful.
We're showing you the way up. It's like Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Ta-da!
Yeah, so you've got the pages and the quills, would you say? How long would you say it took you guys to decide that that's what we want our collectibles to be?
So book themes massive for the Playtonic universe. So you've got worlds that exist in these magical grand tomes. You've got a one book which is super powerful, and with the help of some other artifacts, if you write into it, you can rewrite anything you like, and that's why Capital B would like to get his hands on it. And then it only made sense that the collectibles would follow on that theme. In banjo, music and notes were obviously a theme. For us, it was, we wanted something that kept coming back to this theme about books. The pages themselves, which you can write on. Wouldn't it be horrible though if, like, the pages in the one book, once you write onto a page and create a new thing in the universe, that page dies and becomes just a permanent fixture in the one book? You have to be a free spirit again. That would make a brilliant
Is that sequel idea?
plot device in a later game. Well,
They wouldn't be smiling anymore, would they?
just putting ideas out there I can gauge forum reactions to to see if it's too dramatic or not. But it would kind of be bittersweet that a page has to sacrifice himself to save the world.
Or get murdered by someone.
Technically, it's not murder. They're born to do a function, and maybe they exist and want that to happen ultimately, but just not by anyone who's going to use them for bad. Just use them for good. Here he is. Good old Page. He sets up a bit of a story and dialogue for what to do next.
Who did the voice for the pages?
That's a backer.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
backer.
Super backer.
He is a voice actor, so he got in touch and backed it, and then
Blake Swift, was it?
something like that. Blake
Blake?
something. Sorry.
Who also did an
But
awesome fan animation, didn't he?
Yeah. He did the animation on YouTube. You can search for that.
Is that the one that I linked not long ago? Or?
Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, it's really good. Definitely check that out.
And him being now the voice of the page, he guarantees him a return spot
Yeah.
in other games too. So, thank you very much, Blake.
I guess it's the acquisition of the rolling ability now.
Which, to begin with, I remember on the early first prototype we ever did, like Mr. Hurst, it was a more of a physics Marble Madness ball rolling move.
It was. It was quite fun to play, but it was completely
Frustrating.
useless in terms of gameplay.
Fun but frustrating.
Yeah.
It's a good mix.
See, I remember Steve and Mr. Sutherland just deciding to go off and prototype this roll move instead, and it was definitely the right thing to do. And I'm glad we give them, people early on projects, a lot more creative freedom to explore stuff and figure this stuff out.
There was a lot of tweaking needed for that though. It was very uncontrollable for quite a long time.
It was, wasn't it? The acceleration, turn circle. But we also wanted it to be pretty playful, so it wasn't just too super powerful in terms of you do it all the time by default. We wanted the player to actually have to still think a little bit as they were going along and play, and that's why you can't jump and glide out of a ball roll.
I did wonder about that one, actually.
It became really super powerful, and there's a lot of areas throughout the game where we try to engineer ball rolling courses, such as on Tribal Stack. There's the area near the bottom of Nimbo's waterfall, where you have
behind
to
the temple.
Yeah, where you have to ball roll and jump in ball roll to stay on slippy slopes over and over. And we always likened it to, it felt a bit like the game Trials HD, that you were having to do this kind of parkour in a really different physics control.
I always like doing a ball roll and then jumping and then getting out of it. The animation makes it, you could look like
Really athletic.
like badass.
Yeah.
So there's that first pagey and a cagey there. Would you say that was your first kind of way of sort of assuring players that yes, there's going to be stuff that you need to come back
That's
and do?
right, yeah. And it was great, while we had paging, the word cagey just came along, didn't it? And it's really cool. I kind of like the cages actually as a concept, and I think they'll show up in other games because you can get a feel for actually what's inside, what's the prize on offer, is it worth investing my time in it? And so cages could be used to hold all manner of different things in future.
What, in 2
and
kilometres maybe?
Well, yeah. Try it at the end of this film. But it's nice that the players, we don't want to send them off on long wild goose chases and they realise they've invested a lot of time doing something for a reward that ultimately they didn't care about at that point in time or was just useless to them. So I like how we had the Grand Tome, the theme of the Grand Tome you're going up to, bleed out into the world, as if like it was obvious that the Grand Tomes themselves weren't happy at being within capital B's power. And so some of the assets from within have poured out of the world.
Yeah, that's nice.
And by mounting them on these pedestals, they become these open portals to the worlds inside themselves.
So who put the Grand Tomes there? Are they stolen?
Oh, yeah, how did Cat B and Quack get their hands on them?
Yeah. Do they know they're there?
Yes, they do.
I suspect there's some making up going on.
No. They put them there. They're looking to get the power within. They're looking for the one book.
Yeah.
But why have they left them just in the middle of the room for
So the
Yooka to find?
corporates can go in and out. Well, they didn't know.
yeah.
They didn't know a chameleon and a
lucky.
bat were going to come along with it. You know, start looking around. But the hub was designed to have a lot of shortcut and different routes back. So behind the book here, as soon as you've opened up Hub B, as we call it, there's a shortcut route back here to help players who don't want to complete a world fully and then have to come back. Which in this game there was a lot more of anyway. In terms of there's a lot more content you couldn't complete until you travelled further into the game first to return. So we designed the hub to allow for that.
Okay, who's that?
That's Capital B's former second in command, probably.
It's a pretty big skull.
Maybe this whole place is a
Just
post-apocalyptic Earth. And that's the last human.
I think it's just had a sense of this isn't a nice place, isn't it? It's just
I think I put that skull there. I think I put
lavish.
loads of bones and stuff in all these places, and then we just have to go through and delete lots of them. Because
Hamish is renowned for putting a ton of stuff all around the game using
Hello? What?
using Hamish art. What have you done to the camera?
I was just mucking around.
Stop it.
Yeah, I take pride in all my designer art.
I love your
Look, here's
Hamish
another
art.
Like this is one person spread out across all of Ivory Towers.
Is that one person spread out throughout the entire game, maybe?
There are other skulls though, so unless it's some kind of double-headed troll man, whatever.
It is. Obviously, we already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got his own chapter already. Game written for him.
We have
Oh no, look at this.
another one from Banji Kazoopal, who asks, did you draw inspiration from Spiral Mountain when designing Shipwreck Creek, or were you looking to create something fresh? Are there any recurring ideas that the two share?
Not really. I think Spiral Mountain has a more logical path around it to get up to Grunty's lair, whereas this was a bit more of a playground for. In a way, some of the features mimicked our white box character controller playground that Mr. Sutherland always puts in games, just to see if characters are fun to run around and control and mess around with.
I think the only thing that they share really is this strange idea that we mentioned earlier about the Yooka-Laylee living right next to where the baddie lives, which is something that happened in Spiral Mountain as well, and seem oblivious to the fact that they live there.
Neighbours from hell.
These letters scrolling across, we should have had a word.
It is a word, it's
They
penny.
did.
Penny,
Well,
Yes, they
it's
did,
penny,
yeah.
but I think a very well-formed word, if you stood staring at it for long enough, should have zoomed past. Or even funny, wouldn't it be funny to see a minion like accidentally trapped in the
Yeah.
system right now scrolling across? I'd love to have had more time to go back and do a lot more world building and kind of just fun Easter egg stuff as well.
Speaking of designer art, I did try to. I did hope for more letters so I could make my own words around. So I couldn't really do that, except for somewhere that in the game it spells out P. That's all I can get.
Yeah, so this is just the prologue. In the next episode, we'll be jumping straight into that tome and speaking about the world there. We've got a bunch of community questions already collated for this world too, so it'll be a lot more community heavy. This one was just kind of ad hoc, chuck a few in.
See what kind of questions we get.
Give people a good idea.
I'm worried that it's half the team just coming up with their own names and quickly getting onto the forum and asking.
I mean, it could be. Stranger things have happened. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully this episode makes a cut.
Emote.
Yeah,
End on a high. Not that one.
don't
Oh, hey!
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.